So I'm here with Sarah Lind, the co-executive director of Open Plans and an expert on housing policy and parking mandates. Forcing developers to build parking lots in residential buildings like the ones we see behind you, right? Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, definitely. Parking mandates means it's required. So it's not just, oh, you have some parking because there's a need for it in the neighborhood. It's the city saying you have to build this, arbitrary amount of parking in every new building that you build.
Why does that produce a bad result?
So lots of reasons. I mean, primarily, it makes housing more expensive. It really adds a lot to the cost of housing that gets passed on to especially renters in the city. But the kind of knock-on effects of that, you're incentivizing people to own and drive cars, you're adding to congestion on the streets. We always say for people in neighborhoods who are like, my neighborhood is so busy, there's so much traffic. Well, you shouldn't want new people to move in and bring their cars. It really creates this vicious cycle where we just continue to be locked in car dependency.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you point out that you shouldn't want people to move into your neighborhood with more cars. I feel like everybody wants that, right?
Totally.
Not only pedestrians and cyclists and normal people, but drivers themselves. And I think that's an interesting concept because I feel like a lot of the housing discourse that we have is really actually car discourse.
Yeah.
There's people that don't want new residents living by them, not for any sort of urban reason or city-based reason, but because they simply don't want competition for parking spaces and more traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's be honest. I think as we see in the City of Yes hearings, there are other reasons why people don't want new neighbors, some of them not very nice. But it definitely is true that a lot of people fear that new people coming in will have cars and compete for on-street parking. And they see the on-street parking as their right, and they don't want anyone else to compete for it, which is one reason why a lot of people say you have to build more off-street parking if you build a new building. And we think that that's kind of wrong or misguided. We're in an area like this that's already dense. There's good transit, maybe not a step outside your door, but it's close and people will use it. Most new residents coming to the neighborhood are not like, I have a car and I'm bringing it, so we don't really need the new parking here. We see it often goes unused. Often what happens is they're required to build this parking for residents of the building, and then it doesn't end up getting used. And so the only way they can recoup their money is to turn it into just a market, parking garage for people to come and use. So, they've got their sign out here with how much they charge, just hourly parking for people who are driving around. It's not being used for residents, even though it was required for us.
Yeah, which also adds to a ton of cars coming down West Street here and all these surface streets, right? I mean, you and I just rode through there.
Yeah.
Kind of a mess. Just people, not even residents a lot of times, just coming here and bombarding the neighborhood with cars.
Yeah, exactly. We're giving people a place to park, so we're telling them to come drive to our neighborhood.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.